Pirelli have got a new range of e-mountain bike tyres, but what exactly does that mean for you, the rider? Well, they say that central to the new tyre is improved sidewall stiffness and a new compound. So today we look at the tech, but first of all, some riding. Well, some attempted riding at least. Another failure. I can just simply never get up this rock. I've tried and tried for years. Simply can't do it. Yet another failure. But let's face it, it's not the kind of rock you would find on a normal mountain bike trail. Anyhow, I've been talking to the guys at Pirelli recently in northern Italy, and they said to me, you know what, it's all about controlled riding at less pressure. And it got me thinking, and we kept chatting, which led them to invite me to mount their new Scorpion tyres and try out the challenge again. So I reckon I'm going to drop it down to 10 psi. That is getting to super low tyre pressures. So as you can see, I'm now under 1 bar, which is, I'm not really genned up on my bar, but I reckon that is probably about 5 psi. So I'm going to take it up to 10 psi. Okay, so 10 psi, that is, I've never ever ridden at such low tyre pressures. So one final check of the line choice on the rock. Now listen, you'd never normally run 10 psi in a tyre simply because it would be prone to punctures, or many tyres simply haven't got strong enough sidewalls, so the tyre would be folding in the corner at speed. But anyhow, 10 psi, 0.68 bar, just for the hell of it. Oh my God, that is ridiculous. Wow, seriously, I am over the moon with that. I've certainly learned something here today, and it's proved that this tyre can support those super low tyre pressures, which I will definitely try out more in the future. Now, obviously, there is the real world and there is the legal world. Now, the legal world is governed by certain restrictions, so the recommended minimum tyre pressure on a tyre will usually be higher than that which a consumer uses. Just a bit of red tape really, but anyhow, I reckon I can't wait for one more go from 1 meter out. Oh yes! But back to the trails and back to the dirt. Now, one of the biggest performance upgrades you can get for an e-bike is changing the tyres. Harder ones give you more range and softer ones more grip. But it can be a constant battle trying to get the best tyre for everything. What about if you want a bit of both? Now that's the question many people are pondering. That's when it gets a bit more complex. See, we are simply trying to do so many more things now on our bikes, and I'm sure if you've heard it a million times, but e-mountain biking is very much redefining what we do on a mountain bike. More usage, higher average speeds, and more technical terrain. But from these new needs, Pirelli say that new technology is needed, hence the launch of their new Scorpion series with a different structure and a different compound. I spoke to Samuele Bressan at Pirelli about these new needs and how to get a tyre that can deal with the changing demands of our riding.
What we have seen from the competitors that we looked at before is that either you go with a lightweight tyre, which rolls really fast and that probably needs the use of inserts to prevent the flats, or you go the other way with a full downhill tyre, which is reliable enough but very slow and very heavy weight. So with our range, we target the balance between weight and rolling and the grip and reliability.
And here is the Scorpion, or Lo Scorpione. Is that Italian? I think so. Anyhow, 3 different models or tread patterns, M, R and S, 2 different wheel sizes, 29 and 27.5, and one width, 2.6. Boom! Now the M series features a medium knob height and tread spacing, offering a good balance between grip and rolling speed over a range of terrain. It's your go-to trail tyre to get the miles in, although to be clear, it's not an enduro tyre as it's not aggressive enough, which is where the S comes in. Ah yes, the S. Now there is an agro tyre if ever I've seen one. The tall profile and widely spaced knobs means this is definitely one for some looser riding and leaning more towards enduro style riding, downhill and trail. It's not really fast enough for cross-country style riding, but hell, this is one for bashing up rocks, not kilometers. Now moving across to the R model, which is a rear specific tyre, and that's designed to give you maximum traction under braking and also pedaling without compromising the rolling resistance. Now we know that Pirelli have drawn on their considerable motor racing experience to design these tyres, and this tyre actually has the same paddle design as on the MX tyre, the Scorpion MX motocross tyre. Now I just want to point out that the compound and structure is exactly the same on all three models. The only thing that differs is the tread pattern, and that's what gives you the control. Now obviously you can mix an R with an M or an M with an S, or like I've chosen here, two S's. Now this sounds all very straightforward and simple, doesn't it? But what actually does make them best fitted to eMTB riding? Because let's face it, we have not really been presented with that many eMTB specific offerings. Now, as I mentioned, Pirelli have brought in some massive motorsport experience into the new range of tyres. Now, what underpins the whole off-road mountain bike range is the Smart Grip compound. However, there is a new eMTB compound called Smart Grip Plus. This new compound is especially designed for e-bikes to give a balance of range and traction. They've used a material called lignin, a complex organic polymer which aids in the support, the mechanical strength of the rubber, and is derived from recycled paper, so is said to have less environmental impact. So what exactly is the difference? Well, Pirelli say that both Smart Grip and Smart Grip Plus have a good mechanical strength or high tear resistance. This is how the tyre holds its shape against the riding forces. They've also worked on the chemical grip, which is the friction between two surfaces. So it pretty much does what Smart Grip does, but much more, and thanks to the lignin, is said to be good in both wet and dry conditions. I wonder what it's going to be like in this loam. So compound, very important, not too soft so you get good range, and not too hard so you've got plenty of grip in tricky places like this. But of course, you still need to be able to run those lower pressures, which is where the sidewall comes into play, and we're talking about Hyperwall. The new Scorpions are said to have extremely durable sidewalls, and yet are not compromised by excessive weight. The tyres weigh in between 1200 grams and 1330 grams. The key to Pirelli achieving this is the tall rubber insert, which you can see in this cutaway in red, which is unique to Pirelli and is called Hyperwall. Pirelli say this material is a higher profile than normally found in mountain bike tyres and covers the entire sidewall. This 1.5mm layer impacts on the stiffness and handling of sidewalls, leaving the tread flexible so the tyre is not compromised on the rolling and handling. There is also a textile layer, which I've highlighted here, which locks the layer between the insert and the bead of the tyre, which Pirelli say nobody else has in cycling, although is quite common in motorsport, which makes the construction a lot more solid and stable. So Pirelli say you have a tyre which is equally as reliable as a downhill tyre, but is much lighter in weight. And if you think about it, a lot of downhill tyres on the market weigh in around about 1.5 kilograms. So that means you're saving about 200 to 300 grams per wheel and about half a kilo minimum per bike. So that is quite something. Plus, of course, you have the added benefits of less rolling resistance just on weight alone. Now, on the subject of weight, do not forget that your wheels are a system. So it's pointless having lightweight tyres if your wheels are heavy. And similarly, make sure your suspension's working, because that's part of the system too. Pointless having great tyres, the terrible suspension.
On slow motion, you see that by the time the suspension starts to work, the tire is already compressed. And that means that you cannot consider suspension only by the suspension. I mean, it's a package of how the tire works with the suspension. So you have to design something specific. They cannot work against each other.
Right, I got this. Never done this before. I've got it, I've got it, I've got it! Yeah, boy! Oh! Yeah, boy! Get in there. So the Scorpion, Lo Scorpione from Pirelli, the tyre experts in northern Italy. Don't forget that there is also the M and the R tyre, which I mentioned earlier. Now the M is for the more trail orientated type of ride, not cross country, so you're going to get a far greater range out of that tyre. Please get involved in the comments and discussion about this tyre. Lots to talk about in terms of weight, tyre pressure, pattern, you name it. In the meantime, don't forget to follow us on social media to keep in touch with all the eMTB gossip, and we'll see you at the top of the hill.